I've been doing my Thusby. A Leo gave me this. I've been doing my Thusby religiously. Vedic Leo moon. I'm trying to calm down. Hi, Leo. Mariam, I love you. Let's fucking go. Okay. So the thing about this Gemini season is that it's a little bit crazy. And the reason it's a little bit crazy is because it is a very clean, very bright, very sharp mirror. What does that mean? That means that every sign will try to do the bullshit that it does, and it will bounce right back at them. So for example, when I did the Gemini reading, the way this works with Geminis is when Geminis mirror Gemini energy, whatever kind of sneaky wriggle room situation we're trying to get in and out of, we see it reflected back to us. Someone's going to do the same thing to us. Cancer reading. Cancerian mirror is Cancers want what they want. They're extremely stubborn. They're determined, and they can be really insensitive and tactless when it comes to going about getting what they want to get. If they do that in June, it backfires so badly. So now let's get to the Leo mirror. When we say Leos be on their bullshit, like Cancers be on their bullshit, Geminis be on their bullshit, when we say Leos be on their bullshit, what do we mean? Generally, where you have a, slight issue is usually around attention. It's usually around wanting to stand out. It's usually around wanting to be the center of things. And you get criticized, for this ad nauseum. But in June, it's quite true. Every time you start to feel like you might be misstepping, take a second and ask yourself if you are pushing way too hard in one specific direction. And that direction being, I want all eyes on me. The more you insist on this, the more the results tend to twist. So let me explain. On June 5th, Mars will meet Venus. So Mars is already in your sign. And on June 5th, Venus will also come into your sign. Once this happens, the tendency to become explosive, the tendency to naturally become the rotating center of everything is there. You are the sun. You don't have to be the center. You are the center. But it is that extra little bit of sazon that Venus throws in there that makes it seem heavy-handed. It makes people not want to give it to you, even though a moment before you opened your mouth, they were ready and willing to all of that. But with your asking, with your insistence, with your pushing and wanting it, a strange film appears between you and the world. It's like plastic that you can't get past. Your energy will keep bouncing off of it and back to yourself. And in some cases, that need or want for attention actually turns into something else because you're wanting it, right? You're wanting it to pull towards you. So you can actually get a lot of notoriety, maybe not in the ways that you want. So the best way to deal with June is to put one foot in front of the other, do what you know you're best at, continue to do it, and know that spotlight that you're yearning for, it's right around the corner, and there's money with it, right? When you're searching for it on your own, when you're going out there and looking for it, you're going to find a little piece of it. When you allow it to come to you, you're going to get the whole package. So for you guys, it's do not push at all, right? If you want that attention, that's okay. If you want attention from a specific person, also okay. The hack to getting it is to do nothing. Because, I'm going to talk to you in ways that you understand. You know what I mean? You have to meet people where they are. You want that attention, Vedic Leo moon. I want that attention. What the fuck? We want the attention, but there's got to be a way to get it. It doesn't make sense. You either want to do what you want to do or you want what you want. You got to figure out which one is more important to you. You either have to do things your way and I have to be this way and this is how I am. You either are going to do that or you're going to get results. Not both. So The old ways don't work in June. And it's because Gemini energy is very mischievous. It's low-key energy. And right now, that low-key, chaotic, like kick up all the dirt energy is very strong. But it wants to throw that dirt in your face. It wants to be like, oh, look, this is how you are. And this can be the negatives of it. Oh, look, you're doing that thing again. Now, let's talk about the offshoots from that Mars-Venus meeting. What else happens aside from you being determined, aside from you really wanting what you want, aside from you wanting to stand in the center of every situation? There is also this internal kind of anxious conflict that's brewing, which will happen when Mars and Venus are in your sign. It's a lot of tension. So this can do you very well when it comes to your love life. It can give you a sort of removed appeal where people feel like chasing you. They feel like intrigued by you. Like, why aren't you giving them more? Why aren't you saying more? Just be careful, because when you do this and people start to come towards you, it can be so attractive to you that someone is chasing you that you can kind of overlook that maybe you don't even like them, or like they're not the one. You know, the chase itself can be so flattering, is what I mean, that you can end up wasting time with someone who just doesn't have what you need, right? And like, then they'll get hurt. Not you'll get hurt. They'll get hurt because you entertain them. You knew all along that they weren't for you, but you entertained them. You're probably being nice. You know, I get it. But now they're in pain. So we just don't want to do anything outside of that tried and true. I'm a Leo, my fire is hot, I'm burning really hot, my season's coming up, I'm a lucky girl, all good things come to me. Like, this is the vibe. As long as we stay here and don't demand anything from the universe in Gemini season, we're golden. But as soon as we start to claw and scrape and bite at something, that mirror is going to claw and scrape and bite at us back. You'll just be innocently looking for some attention, and someone will say some fuck shit to you that you're like, oh my God, that's gonna hurt me for the next 10 years. I can't believe you just did that to me. So it's better, you know, your power kept in check, your power softened by circumstance, your power softened by this month, this season, is good enough. It's good enough to get you through and to keep these swords from sticking in your back. Basically, that's what we're trying to prevent. And right now, they're just up in the air. They're not in your back. They can easily go away. But whatever we have a tendency to do, if we do it in June, it backfires. So you know what you be doing. You know how you are, right? The other thing here is that it's not just about attention. It's also about kindness. There are some people with whom you have really like tied yourself very closely, and you are extremely kind to them. But some of those people are going to show you before the month is up that your kindness was never warranted, it was never deserved, and that some people will wait a really long time to play the long game with you. Like, you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. So you can leave June feeling a little bit manipulated, you know, and then once you start to get wind of like how people really are, then you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm glad I wasn't looking for attention from that person. I'm glad I wasn't wanting attention from that job or wanting approval from this or that, or it'll start to make sense to you. Like, oh, these people are not even good enough for me to get that attention from, or like they shouldn't even be. Do you know what I mean? They shouldn't even be in my prep, let alone me being worried that I'm not getting what I need from them. So when that switch happens, it's great, right? Also, because you have Mars and Venus in your sign and Uranus is in Taurus, you're a fixed sign, Taurus is a fixed sign, you're going to have a few moments come up in June where you feel like, and we're going to talk about dates in the extended, the exact dates of these transits, where you feel that like resurgence, you know, of perhaps you've been out of the relationship game for a while, perhaps you've been disillusioned, you got hurt, right? You're shy about the whole thing because something, you know, something scared you. You're gun shy now. These squares are going to show you where that fear is actually still residing in you, that where that belief is still in you, that like this happened to me back then somehow because of me. And that's the thing about being aware, but also being like so conscious of oneself, is that oftentimes we will take on responsibility for things that, like, no, that was never on you. That you didn't do anything wrong in that situation. So these squares are going to show you where you've been holding on to some guilt, some pain, some blame, you know, for something that really wasn't your fault, something that either fell apart or someone made you feel like it fell apart because of you, or whatever it was. It wasn't your fault at all. And that's very freeing. So in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of standing in the bright light and yet trying to act like you don't want it. I get how weird this is, but in the midst of all this, you have this like epiphany moment where you're like, wait, I never did anything wrong in that situation, actually. I can't believe I've been walking around with this like deep, deep, deep guilt, and pain, because you really do feel bad when you hurt people. You really do genuinely feel bad. And I'm saying genuinely in that way because as a Gemini, I find it hilarious and cannot relate at all. I'm just being really honest. But y'all get like really in your feelings for other people's feelings. The empathy is very real. And Mars in your sign is just gonna, like, the emotions, the way you can kind of pick up your dreams are very vivid. You know what's going on. Your dreams are talking to you all the time. You have this like impetus right now. Like, I know, I get it. Like the veil is finally pulled back on a part of my life that I was like, what the fuck was I doing back then? Or like, why did it go that way? Or who even was I then? This crow is just dead ass gonna keep flying right over my head until I feed him. He's not gonna stop. He keeps going around in a circle. He's not gonna stop. But this energy, this Mars energy and Venus coming in, it makes you like, Venus is coming out of Cancer. Like, it makes you fiery, but like more passionate than fiery. It gets you deep. You're like, ooh, like I loved him. What the fuck was going on back then? Like, I know I loved him. Like stuff like that, where you're like, whoa, my heart was always pure about this. Hold on a second. Why did that happen the way it did? That contemplative space where you're actually giving yourself props, going back and like looking at those wounds and using the mirror instead of just looking at yourself and wanting other people to look at it. You're using the mirror to like check this stuff out and be like, oh, ow. Well, why does that still hurt? That's not even mine. Let me get rid of that, right? So in that way, Gemini season is amazing because, like I often tell you, your heart is tied to your abundance. That's where you live from. That's where you work from. That's just your bag. So when you start to use this mirror properly and like really look at yourself, the money starts to go up, 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 up. Why? Because your heart feels comforted. That's what it is. There's been a lot of doubt. When you guys wonder if you're a good person, when you guys wonder if you've done something wrong, it's very real. And you can like beat yourselves up to no end because you just take so much responsibility for not just your feelings, but how you make other people feel. And it's so noble and it's so beautiful. And like, I am nothing without my Leo friends. Like literally every time I almost fuck something up and like really hurt somebody's feelings, I have a Leo friend who'll be like, you can't do that to them. You can't. They love you. They trust you. They're waiting for you. You can't do this. And I'm like, no, you're right. Like, I'll like come to my senses and be like, no, you're right. Because your heart is so big and you are so open about speaking from your heart. You don't care. Like, even to someone as abrasive as me, you'll be like, no, Umber, you're wrong. You can't do this. And it's done from love. It's never done from like, I'm better than you, or like, it's always done with like, I'm looking out for you. I care about you. I love you. And I'm taking responsibility right now for what you're doing so you can see it through my eyes and hopefully fix this, right? When you start to look at things in that way, like in regards to yourself, when you start doing that, that's when this like beautiful blooming happens, right? So you're using this mirror now to look at your wounds, but you're also using it to check when you got stuck. It's like the mirror becomes like a time traveling device. You can look back, peer into time to when the last time was when you really felt like this love, romance, all that stuff. And right next to it will be that trauma or that pain or that thing that's like kind of been like standing in front of it and holding you back. You're going to see these two things in tandem in that mirror very, very clearly. And once you do, and it's like a light goes off, you know, once you're done feeling unnecessarily guilty, once you're done taking way too much emotional responsibility, once you're done with all this emotional baggage that's yours, but you've decided now I've carried it long enough, because after you have these epiphanies and these squares happen, you won't want to carry it. You'll kind of look down at your bag and be like, this isn't even my suitcase. Why did I walk away with this? This is somebody else's. Once you get there, that spotlight that you've been yearning for, that attention that you've been wanting, whether it's from one specific person, many people, your job, you know, you want money's attention, you want money to start coming in, wherever you've been like kind of putting out that bat signal, like I need attention, it will naturally start to come to you, and you'll realize through that process that it was this block that you had, that you had placed on yourself out of blame, shame, guilt, whatever it was, and it had you locked. Now that those locks, the squares, just rip those locks off, right? So you can see how the tendency to go too big will, of course, emerge. So we're just going to keep it as pulled back as possible as we can until we get to mid-June. And then we're going to use this natural ability we have to take the spotlight, to be the center of attention. And instead of like pressing our like foot on their necks with it, instead, you're going to let off the pressure a little bit. You're going to make a little bit of room between you and this attention, between you and the people, between you and the world. And what you'll notice is that you'll get something like really delicious out of this, is that people will come even more towards you. We're shunning the spotlight even though we want it at the beginning of the month, very Gemini. And then towards the end of the month, when we're just starting to get all the attention anyway, we're pulling back even more to be like, oh, please, I'm a star. Once you're please, I'm a star, that's when everything starts rushing at you, and you'll be ready for it, because you won't be walking around with a head full of like, I fucked up, I did this, I shouldn't have done this, at least some of it is my fault, you know. And if you're watching this with someone, or if you're, you know, you send this to someone and they're like, oh, well, that's toxic, some of it was your fault, it can't always not, you know, nothing is your fault. No, yeah, it is like that, because Pluto will go retrograde and it will go back into Capricorn, and that's exactly what it's going to show you. It's no bullshit. Capricorn will tell you if something is your fault. They don't care. Like, it's no skin off their back. They'll tell you. But Pluto goes back into Capricorn and you're like, no, I'm actually like pretty fucking cool. Like, what? And it's so healing. Just that like sentiment is so healing. It warms you, it nourishes you, and it puts you in exactly the right energetic space to get the appropriate attention, to get attention from people who are really worth it, who will really bring something to you, who will make you genuinely feel full up and contented, and not like it, you know, it's just dripping out the bottom and you have to keep filling up with more. People who their attention, their love is substantial, it's substantive, you can, you know, sink your teeth into it. That gorgeous feeling of like, I didn't even ask for it and I got it so much better than I wanted it, and all I had to do was take my foot off the gas. But taking your foot off the gas when Mars and Venus are in your sign is super difficult. This is not an easy mirror to look into. This is not an easy mirror to accustom yourself to. This is not an easy mirror to look at your wounds in. It's very clean, okay? Gemini season shows you exactly your reflection. It's very clean. Do not be offended by what you see. You'll see this reflection. Where is this mirror you speak of? It'll be in other people's faces. It'll be in other people's behavior. It'll be in your own behavior. It'll be, you know, you looking yourself in the eye. You'll be able to see it. You'll see it. And you're going to embrace it. You're not going to be afraid of it. You're not going to run from it. You're not going to resent it. You're going to look at yourself, because whatever you're seeing there, it's not a criticism that's given, you know, passed down onto you from Gemini season. It's not coming from anybody else. It's you. It's you looking at the most honest version of you, and not being critical, and not being ashamed, and not blaming, and just accepting, and being able to use that deeply empathetic nature on your own reflection. That's why they pay me the big bucks, bitch. I love you. Let's look at these cards. you look at the cards in the extended, you can get it on Vimeo, you can get it on Patreon, or you can get it as an instant link in your email. YouTube's been doing this crazy thing where they're like age restricting videos for having like this, like the world card. Like they're saying it's like nudity and stuff. So it's just like not a vibe to show the card. I don't know what they're doing, but it's just, it sucks. So links in the bio. Also, we have 3 major events coming up. We have the Bay coming up, we have LA coming up, and we have Mexico City. And they're going to be 3-part events, opening up with my friend Brenna, colleague, friend, my astrologer Brenna, doing hypnotherapy, then 2 hours of me, question answer, all that. And then my colleague and friend Cheyenne doing breath work and somatic breath work at the end to kind of close us off. And then we have my friend Jakaya, also a colleague, spinning music. Like, it's going to be vibes. It's going to be vibes. It's amazing. So I will link all that below as it comes out. If you have any questions about the events, you can always go to the website and go to the events section, and you can find the tickets there as well. Good? I love you so much. I really do. This thing is so dope. Listen, like all day long, I just be like this. I just be like the old uncles. Yes, I'm wearing pajama pants. What? I'd be like the old uncles. I just be sitting around like on my bullshit. Just, no, I love it. Can't get enough of it. I'll see you.